These are abandoned Sonic games and almost nobody can play them. Like this one, an unreleased hoverboard game that you were never supposed to see. Or these ones that actually released but were discontinued and are damn near impossible to find. So I found a bunch of them to play and will be brutally ranking them in a tier list based on how fun they are. Let's start with Sonic Unleashed. And I'm not talking about the console game where you play as a werewolf Sonic. I'm playing the mobile one that was on super old phones with keyboards like the BlackBerry in 2009 costing $4.99. It randomly vanished and now you have to download one of the 50 versions or find it on a random old phone. It starts off like a regular 2D platformer, except the controls are weird. Like left, right, and jump are numbers because players actually played this on their phone's keyboard, which is crazy. The first few levels felt like regular Sonic. I was speeding around at light speed, jumping and dashing through enemies. Then unexpectedly, everything shifted. It was suddenly nighttime and I've been transformed into werewolf Sonic, who plays completely differently. I have some weird powers too, like I can stretch my hand to grab stuff. As I'm really slow and have stretchy arms, I use to fight these overpowered robots that have tons of health. For such an old game, it still looks pretty good and the gameplay isn't bad, except when I run into these rage-inducing moments like this fish robot boss that shoots deadly lasers at me. I have to instantly react to and dodge. Bro, how do I even dodge that? No idea how I survived that, but the rest of the game was the same repetitive Sonic/werewolf gameplay that took me one whole hour to beat. And because of that, I'm gonna rank this game C tier. It's decent but short. And for now, it takes the golden crown for being the greatest abandoned Sonic game of the video. Let's see if any of the ones coming up will take its spot. Next up is Waku Waku Sonic Patrol Car, a Japan exclusive arcade ride designed for kids to sit in a police car, steer a wheel, and mash buttons. It's one of the earliest Sonic arcade machines released in 1991, and if you somehow find one, keep it because it's extremely rare. It's a 1991 arcade game, still looks nice. It starts off with Sonic speaking for the first time ever in Japanese. Konnichiwa. He then hops in his cop car and makes his way to the road where I gain control, and it felt like the first time I ever drove a car. I had no idea what I was doing and had a high chance of crashing. Thankfully though, after a few mistakes, I figured out how to switch lanes by signaling with my hand and how to stop at a red light so I don't run over humanoid furry animals walking across the road. Did I just see a pig, bro? I also randomly had the amazing ability to shoot flames out of my car, which propels me forward at ridiculous speeds, which was a little useless because this game wants me to be a good driver on the road. Until I ran into Eggman, who was somehow driving backwards and throwing bombs at me that I had to bob and weave to dodge, while jumping out of my car to bounce on top of his head to give him brain damage. So I just spam jump on him. Yo, my car just did a flip. Until his car blew up and I let him run away for some reason. Nice. And that was the entire game. No joke, 3 minutes of gameplay. Which makes me sad because of how good this game could have been if they added more levels. So I'm gonna rank it B tier, which means it steals the golden crown and becomes the greatest abandoned Sonic game of the video, until maybe something crazier comes up. Next, Sonic Extreme, a 2003 unreleased hoverboard racing game that was built in 1 week, shown to Sega, and they loved it, but it still got cancelled for some reason. And fans suspect the idea later became Sonic Riders, a different hoverboard racing game that actually released. So Sonic Extreme was lost for years until someone found it on a development Xbox, which were these special devices used to build and test games. So I booted up the game, which had a smiling Sonic on screen and options to pick between 3 different game modes. I started with Mission first, which allowed me to select Sonic or Shadow, and of course I went with the best character first, throwing me into a decent looking game with some screen tearing, where I could skate around and do some tricks that I miserably failed at. This is such a weird game to be a Sonic game. This is essentially the Tony Hawk games that have been releasing for over 20 years because people are absolutely obsessed with skateboards. I myself have seen the craziest clips of absurd tricks on YouTube. Sonic Extreme is like that, but way more toned down. You rack up your score by successfully hitting moves, which I did by spamming a bunch of buttons, and I even figured out how to get on the guardrails, which were magically floating in the air, and were extremely difficult to stay on because you have to constantly keep yourself centered with the analog stick. The other game modes consisted of me racing an AI that was absolute trash, and in the other mode I could collect items like rockets and grenades and blow up my opponents. Honestly, this game had a good amount of potential for being made in a week. It's pretty insane. The only thing I wish is that Sonic and Shadow had unique abilities they could use, because this literally felt like I was wearing a Sonic skin and playing a skateboard game. So I'm gonna rank it C tier. Not too bad. Next, Sonic Runners, a 2015 free-to-play mobile game designed to get you addicted and then force you to spend your money on its cash shop. It even got millions of downloads worldwide, but not enough people spent their money. So they shut it down a little over a year after release. Even though players loved the game, they just hated the microtransactions, until a crazy group of fans decided to reverse engineer the whole thing and release their own game called Sonic Runners Revival. So I booted it up, starting with the story mode that had a bunch of random dialogue I tried to read, got bored, and decided to skip through most of it until I reached the best part. Sonic running, collecting rings and gems while I dodged super deadly obstacles that became damn near impossible to avoid, because this level never ends. It goes on forever, but gets faster until you can't see the screen properly. Before it speeds up though, you attack Eggman while weaving random items he throws at you. The whole purpose of this game is to ramp up your score as high as possible, while collecting coins and super rare red ones that you can spend on cool stuff like items that turn you into whatever this blue pixel thing is, a literal purple planet that sucks in everything, and loads more. The best part though is getting enough red coins in the story mode to buy new characters. There are lots of them with different powers, like Metal Sonic that can triple jump, or Tails that can literally fly and glide. Nice, that's actually pretty cool. That does change the gameplay. And my favorite, Knuckles, who can do a mid-air dash. I got really addicted to this game, playing for a lot of hours. It was really fun, especially when I unlocked new levels. I also tested the gambling section that was designed for players to spend all their money. It allowed me to spin a wheel which rewarded me with items, coins, and equipable pets that gave me passive buffs. It actually wasn't anything too cool, and maybe that's the reason nobody spent money on this game. Sonic Runners is essentially Subway Surfers, but with the same problem of being super repetitive, doing the same levels over and over again. So I'm gonna rank it A tier, which is enough to steal the crown and become the greatest abandoned Sonic game of the video. Is anything gonna steal it? Let's see. Next, Sonic Edusoft, a bizarre educational Sonic game that was developed in 1991 for the Sega Master System, a console I've never heard of in my life. This game was designed to teach basic things like math and spelling, but it didn't get approved by Sega, so it was cancelled and remained lost for decades, until apparently one of the developers leaked it online. Let's see if it makes me smart. The game starts off with me in an overworld where I can move around Sonic to different objects that start levels. I went to the ship in the water first, which was a spelling game where I had to figure out a word based on a bunch of random letters. It was actually pretty easy. If I was a kid, maybe it would have been difficult, and winning rewards me with a star I can use to unlock other areas in game. I could reach by walking or taking a literal helicopter for some reason. The other levels consisted of basic math problems. Multiplication, huh? If you start giving me division, bro, I'm cooked, I'm telling you. 5 times 3, 15. And random mini game areas that I guess were designed for players to take a break when overloaded with knowledge. I'm bouncing him on a trampoline by a pool of lava. This seemed like a simple game, except when I discovered a dark secret by clicking this question mark that allowed me to crank up the difficulty to the maximum, where the math numbers become bigger. That's 132. It is 132. Yo, I had to use quick math there. Holy. And guessing the word becomes a full brain power task that has an angry looking Sonic looking at you if you get anything wrong. What even is this? Like, no, like for real, there's no way. No way anyone's watching knows what this is right now. This might be the weirdest Sonic game I've ever played, and for an education title, I think it's pretty bad. Yachting. Huh? Yachting. What does yachting mean, bro? Am I taking my yacht around? Like, what's going on here? It feels more like a pop quiz that's a secret IQ test that's not fun at all. So I'm gonna rank it a brutal D tier. Last up, Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. The 1993 arcade machine I found out about a few weeks ago. Mainly released in Japan with limited worldwide machines. That featured completely unique isometric Sonic gameplay. Controlled with a trackball, players move to go any direction with Sonic. It also was apparently gonna be released for consoles, but that didn't happen. And sadly, finding a machine outside of Japan is extremely rare. So I booted it up, excited to see what I was about to get into. Warning, this game is to be used only in Japan. Wow, it's lucky that I'm definitely in Japan right now. Don't worry, Sega. This game gave me multiple characters to choose between. 2 of them I've never seen in my life. So of course I went with Sonic and got to watch a nice tutorial of how to play, and then got chased and caged like a wild animal by Eggman, where I got locked in prison and had to bash my head against metal bars before I got spiked into the afterlife, escaping until I got thrusted into the air by a water spout. Like, this is looking like cracked gameplay. Okay, I just fell from the sky. How am I gonna survive this? Somehow I survived that fall damage. And fell into a volcano where I was being chased by a flaming giant ball. As you can probably tell, this is an insanely intense Sonic game that looks really good for being over 30 years old. It's super fast paced, and every problem I run into is extremely unpredictable. Like running on this wooden bridge, feeling safe until it breaks and I'm forced to climb it into a lava rock area that has exploding floors. And that was just the first level. Okay, there's like 7 stages. Wow. Where Eggman is actually trying to kill Sonic. Some of my favorites was the level 2 ice area with deadly giant icicles and ice cubes I had to avoid on very slippery floors. Why is this game so good though? Like, this is like, game's amazing. Holy! Or level 5, where I had to sprint faster than the floor breaking. I don't know how I never heard of Sega Sonic the Hedgehog before, but it may now be one of my favorite games. I feel the developers wanted to try as much as possible with Sonic and threw it into this game, and for some reason it works really well. It's a perfect combination of platforming, intense danger, and the iconic fast-paced Sonic running. Where in the final level, I find Eggman, he laughs in my face, presses a button. Wait, you're blowing up your facility? Where are you running? There's no way you're faster than me. How is he faster than me? No way you can outrun me. Bro's built like an egg, literally. Which forces me to sprint out of the building before it blows up, and I fail. So I happily replayed the whole game, but with this yellow character named Ray that is apparently a flying squirrel. Oh, I did it. Ooh. Damn. That was close. That's tough. This may be a bold statement, but if this was made into a full console game, it probably would have been one of the greatest Sonic games ever. So it deserves to be ranked S tier, rightfully taking the crown as the greatest abandoned Sonic game of the video, hands down. If this video does well, I'll do a part 2 with more lost Sonic games. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.